So, PG 13 points per game has finally done it. He has finally done it. Like, you know, when Duncan Robinson was going through his little bit of a slump, he got rid of the podcast. Draymond Green is just Draymond Green. Screw Draymond Green. But now we've got Podcast P. We got Podcast P. Like, heck, Draymond Green would assault somebody on the court and then he would go onto a podcast. Like, he's not gone full on Draymond Green level, but Podcast P is now ending. So let's take a listen to Podcast P right here. At a time where, you know, their season's over, they're not playing for anything, Podcast P is now cancelling Podcast P.
Fellas, it's no secret. This season is up to this point, man. It hasn't been what we envisioned. I know my goal when I first signed with Philadelphia was to bring a championship to these amazing fans here. I still remain positive about that, and that is still the case and where I'm coming from. With that being said, though, I want to let the Podcast P family know that after today's episode with Dwight, I plan to take a break from the pod just to focus on getting my body right, getting mentally right, and, you know, help this squad make a push towards our goal to finish the season out, give ourselves a chance to be in contentions to compete for a championship. I won't front. The desire to get back to shooting in person with my guys as well is the forefront of, you know, this hiatus as well. I look forward to us three being back together and doing this as we once started this. So we'll be back on that note. Be sure to lock in with us because we got some big things in store in our future. In the meantime, y'all be easy.
So yeah, Podcast P is over for now. And it sounded more like a, kind of want to just get back to what it was when we were in person. I want to get back to that more so than, you know, I've uploaded more, up until February the 7th, I had uploaded more podcast clips than made baskets. That was like pre-All-Star break. You know, I've uploaded more podcast episodes than games played on the season. And you know, over the last 10 games, with our team 1-9, I have been PG 13 points per game. And yeah, obviously the Philly fans are not happy about this. He's saying he's competing for a championship this season. Well, honest question, what does a podcast have to do with your season success? To throw at this point, the season was over weeks ago. All we wanted was a consistent 27-5 from him, and no one would have complained about his podcast. He hasn't showed up. Might be the funniest I've ever seen an NBA player do 20 games below 500. Like, he realistically, he got bullied by the internet into getting rid of his podcast. It's as simple as that. It is as simple as that. Like, I'm sorry, podcasting is nothing to do with getting his body right. It has nothing to do with getting his body right. The podcasting, by the way, is not affecting his NBA career. None of it is affecting his NBA career. Paul George got the bag and chilled. Like, it happens in life. It happens in life and it's easy. Like, he's gotten older now. It's not as easy for him to just go out and average 20 anymore. Like, he's got other priorities, like. But the Podcast B thing, like, I don't understand why these players do it during the season. Just podcast during the off season. I don't care if you want to podcast during the offseason. I actually kind of like players podcasting. By the way, none of the current player podcasts are any good, including Podcast P, including Draymond's. Draymond is just unstoppable. I hate Draymond Green. I hate him so much. And I loved Draymond Green so much as a player in his prime. I hate him so much. But like Draymond's not, like, Paul George hasn't gone to Draymond level. Paul George did not stamp on somebody. Or Paul, was it Dylan Brooks? Was it Dylan Brooks? No. There was a situation where Draymond got ejected. I can't remember what series it was in. He got ejected. I think it was in the 2023 playoffs. Who did they beat in the first round before they faced the Lakers? Was it the Kings? I don't know. Was it 2022 playoffs then? But there was a series where there was a time when Draymond got ejected and started recording the podcast. Like, he posted a podcast the night he got chucked from a game from trying to hurt somebody. I can't remember when it was. But he's not gone to Draymond. He's not gone to Draymond levels. But, like, these player podcasts, and I get it, like, especially like for Duncan Robinson, he was like hitting up, was it to work for he was hitting up Bill Simmons to work for him when he was playing in Michigan. Like, he didn't think he was making the league, and he wanted to be in media. A lot of these players want to be the media. They are their own media. But just wait till you're done. You're making 20 plus million a year. You're making more money than anyone would in the media. And you can finish, like, once you finish your career. Heck, if you want to start your podcast and boom, announce your retirement via podcast. Announce your retirement via podcast. Tell your agent, I'm giving it one more year, and announce your retirement via podcast. Do it before Shams does. And suddenly, you know, if you're a star, it's a million view video and you're at the same, you had a huge spot for your podcast. Like, I don't know, but it's like, during the season when you're competing for anything, no player should, not because it affects them on the court, because it can cause, like, it becomes messy off the floor. Like, I hate Kendrick Perkins, but he's right. And he's saying, like, imagine if Kevin Garnett heard after a loss you were going out to record a podcast. And I understand players can do what they want in their free time. I'm never saying that a player can't do it, but I'm like, probably shouldn't. You probably shouldn't. Not that you can't. You probably shouldn't do it. But yeah, it is. All in all, it's not a sad day at all to see Podcast P gone. It's absolutely not at all sad. It's not in any way sad. Like, podcasting and taking L's a tough look. Like, it just is one of those optics things where if you're playing garbage and you're doing other stuff, it's a bad look. Like, if you are, I don't know, if you're playing absolute garbage and it seems like you're putting in a Kyle Kuzma or Russell Westbrook amount of hours into your fashion, and you don't have the backlog of, like, say, how good Russell Westbrook was for as long as he was, or heck, if you're making a max contract, you're stinking it up, and it seems like basketball's not your focus, you're always going to get people being negative towards you. And I don't know if basketball is Paul George's focus, or he has just become washed as quick as anyone we've ever seen. But man, it's just bad for Philly. And I'm gonna say this right now: Paul George, Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons. Kyrie's kind of had a redemption arc, so I'm not gonna put Kyrie in that conversation anymore. I'll put Paul George, Jimmy, Ben Simmons, Embiid. Now, Embiid got injured. He's a bit different. But the next CBA is not going to have guaranteed contracts. It might have 2 years guaranteed, and then everything after that, or contracts are going to max out at 3 years. One of those two things is going to happen in the next CBA, and players can thank Paul George, Pandemic P, Podcast P, whatever the hell you want to call him. They can blame that man with Jimmy Butler, with Simmons, all of these players to sign a big deal. In Jimmy's case, maybe not so much, but maybe the PG and Simmons, the players to sign the big deal and then immediately just pack it in. Like, it's not gonna look good for the NBA. But anyway, I'll see you guys.